Yes. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
So just like quick introduction, let's know you, your name, what you do, where you are.
Okay. My name is Rania Odaymat. I'm a Ghanaian living in Ghana. I'm an artist, a writer, a curator. I'm also a creative therapist and facilitator.
Nice. So what would you say? I just want to jump into it. What would you say is the number one thing giving you stability right now?
Breathing. And also, I mean, I can't say that it's only one thing, but if I have to choose, the basic one, the bottom one, is the breath. Connecting to that rhythm of being alive and actually, trying to just empty your mind, deep breathe, and appreciate, that moment and that breath, and just give your all to that breath. But then also, there are different things that help a lot. Deep playing. So playing, the concept of deep play, where you actually really, really immerse yourself in it. Reading a lot. I mean, reading to me is a daily ritual, but I'm doing more of it right
now. Okay.
Creative work. I think to me it's always cathartic. It helps with channeling, energy, transforming negative energy into positive energy. And yes, our work has changed. Even when I'm saying creative work, is not actually necessarily continuing the work that I was doing, because so many things are on hold. But creativity has no rules, and it doesn't, just because the circumstances change. So I guess trying to find ways of being creative in a meaningful way in this very changed and changing, situation.
Yeah. So
being.
So should I? Were you going to say something?
No. One important thing I was gonna add is also being connected to loved ones. Either I think it's very important in any way that you can do it. People that means something to you, either just for that connection or also to support each other, to help each other out, because I think that this isolation is not natural. Our skin, out of our 5 senses, our skin covers the whole body. It's the largest. It's the first that comes alive, the last that dies. And research, old clinical studies show that babies who don't get enough touch when they're young start dying with no reason. And I think we keep that as adults. So if you can hug someone, touch someone, if you can't, figuratively hugging yourself, but also maintaining that connection with people, maintaining positive connection.
In terms of the breathing, would you mind to maybe just give a more explanatory process, like maybe the methods, like what type of breathing, so that anyone who is watching this could just directly tap into it and recreate and practice that you feel gives you stability in terms of the breathing?
Okay, I would say that look, I'm not a breathing master. There are so many links online, you know, that teach you breathing and guided meditation, and so many different schools. You know what I mean? So many breathing techniques. But I would say that it doesn't really, you know, to me, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, breathing is breathing. Whether you have that curiosity, you want to go online, it's always great, because then you have a framework, you know, then you have a structure that you can develop into and from. But even if it's as simple as you lie on the ground, you know, just completely let go, just if you're a corpse, okay? And take a very deep breath, but from your nose, okay? Let the air enter from your nose and feel and feel your rib cage expand on the side. So if you touch this side of your rib cage, but don't use your shoulders. You have to be completely relaxed. So don't tense up these muscles, you know? Inhale from your nose. Can you feel your rib cage expand?
Yes.
And then take it out of your mouth. And just, if it's only for 10 minutes, if you can do that for 10 minutes, you know, and any time you feel, I think breathing is the most basic sign of life.
Yeah.
And also it oxygenates the body. It is one of the best ways to, you know, to keep your immune system good. We are not taught that. It's something everybody does, you know. If you cut somebody's breathing, this, everybody has it, everybody does it. And yet, because of conditioning, so many times since childhood, our breathing is disrupted, or we don't actually breathe properly.
Yeah.
So at a time like this, it's very important to learn breathing, to practice breathing, even in this way.
Yeah, I do practice very conscious breathing. At least for the last 3 years. Like, my first experience was like when I went on this 5 to 10 minutes, I started feeling the tingling on my feet.
Oman, sorry to interrupt you. I have a situation. I think somebody is blowing the horn very, you know, outside of my house. Can I just hang up and then
I can
open
pause
the
it.
gate?
I can pause the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need to apologize. So we are all navigating this thing together. It's also, it's just like this is a call. The only difference is I'm documenting it, and there's no technicality or anything that we need to abide to at all. Is as relaxed, as free as possible. So I was saying that when I stumbled into the breathing techniques, and my first experience was breathing and feeling this tingling sensation on my toes, you know, and I was like, "Rah, this is real," you know. So it's something that I go to whenever I feel like not in control, you know. So it's interesting to know that you practice conscious breathing. Um, so what aside from that, what have you been doing daily? How long have you been indoors?
I've been indoors right now for more than a week. Before that, I was on partial lockdown, so I would go out only like when necessary.
Yeah.
Or meaning, you know, it was, we had so much to do to prepare for this situation.
That's
and
true.
To reach out to so many people, because I mean, our system is really not ready
It's not ready for this.
So many people actually can.
Yeah.
Yes, it's You know what I mean? In very, very, very real ways, you know, and basic ways. So yeah, I would go out, take my precautions, but now it's lockdown. Yeah.
So I know you are someone who is always fun going, very bright, like very open, always willing to give a helping hand, collaborate. Like how is this affecting that part of you?
It's actually, you know, I think it's this situation makes it even more important, you know, to be open and to reach out and to collaborate. I think if nothing else, the fact that, you know, this virus does not differentiate between anybody.
Nothing.
And honestly, like at the base of it, even before that, I mean, we don't even need a virus, you know, in front of life and death, in front of breath, in front of so many of the essential and most important things in life and most precious things in life. There is no difference. I think we're linked. We're all linked, I think, you know, on an intelligence level, you know, on a collective intelligence level. I think we're linked on a spiritual level. I think we're linked. And so, yes, the way I do that has changed, obviously, because of the circumstances, but it hasn't stopped. You know, I'm still, you know, in very imperfect ways, sometimes in creative ways, to reach out. We're all in it together, you know.
What do you think this would do to the creative community? How do you think this moment would affect our creative community just moving forward?
Honestly, I don't have the answers. I think there's a very big unknown for us all, you know, or at least maybe somebody else might have them. But, you know, you can see patterns of behavior. You can watch things, but then ultimately one thing could change, you know, something could happen and it could trigger a series of events that will change completely. I think it's, I mean, for now, I think we're all hit, creatives and not, you know, business, for it's everything has slowed down, but I think creatives potentially have an edge because we're used to thinking and working in difficult circumstances with very little support. We're used to coming up with creative ideas, you know, with being more innovative in the way we approach things. And so I think it becomes extremely important for us at this time to engage these aspects of who we are and what we do, because I'm personally not sure at all. We're never going back to where we were.
No.
Usually in history, you know, whenever these big shifts happen, you cannot go back and recapture. It's going to be a new landscape in so many ways. There are already a lot of scars, whether it's in the social fabric, which is very, I mean, depending on how long the lockdown goes, you know, the mental health issues, all of that, economic, political, world, or, you know, everything. And so I think that as creatives, we need to be aware of that. We need to be engaged in being part of that. We need to think very hard about how to recreate ourselves, how to come up with unusual approaches and solutions.
So just to look at society, is there a wish from you? Like, is there something that you wish for us as a society to learn from this?
You know, honestly, like, you know, we are by no means a perfect society.
Definitely.
We have so much to work towards. You know, one thing I'm always, you know, wishing for, working towards, is personal empowerment. I think after, you know, independence, this was never done.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and it's not based on individuals, but it's actually like a rather collective, more or less. Yes, it hasn't been addressed in our educational system. It hasn't been addressed in the business places, whatever, to empower us to actually take charge of our own direction. You know what I mean? And not rely on an institution or a company or a government, or, you know, so this is, I think it's still, this is very important, you know. I think one thing is for us to have more social responsibility. Also, being empowered will lead us to having more social responsibility. Because when you're in charge, you know that it's up to you to do something. You know what I mean? In the environment, like look at, for example, you know, when the lockdown was about to happen, I was holding my head and thinking about, you know, the huge percentage of the population that
who cannot
afford is living day. Yes, who are living day by day. I mean, if it's a choice between, am I going to eat today, or am I going to feed my kids today, or get possibly corona later, I don't think I would, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a very, very, very difficult choice you have to make. Also, you know, to look at the fact that so many places, not only in Ghana, in Accra itself, which is the capital city, don't have access to running water, have to buy it.
True.
So many places, you know, they don't have access to toilets.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so I think you know, looking at how we can all be, you know, active citizens, we can be part and have that awareness of what we are part of. But saying that, you know, and looking at our people, I've seen some things that have made me proud to be Ghanaians. Like with all of what doesn't work well, with everything that is wrong, I see people, you know, sometimes who have not had access to much education, or to the best kind of education, who are actually showing so much care and cautiousness and towards protecting themselves and others, and taking the right steps and doing it kindly and graciously without fighting, you know, over it. Of course, we have incidents, you know, but when you look at the majority, I think those ugly incidents are a minority of how the majority is behaving, which to me is heartwarming.
Oh wow, that's a good observation, because one can sit down and just pay attention to the negativity. It's a good perspective what you just said. So how do we better function as a part of the greater circle, the greater being? How do we better function daily? What do you think as an individual going out there every day? How do you reconnect? Because you just roped so many things: spirituality, collectiveness, sense of self, and independence. In all of this, how do we find that balance? You can just speak for yourself.
I think
then maybe more people would relate to your practice.
You know, I think things. First of all, the only person you can change is yourself.
Yeah.
So it starts from yourself and your practice. Obviously, this has a ripple effect, because the people, sometimes you lose some people by being that way, but you always gain so many more people. And I think that practicing that, you know, changing your responses, healing yourself, fixing patterns of behavior that are self-destructive, actually has a much, much greater impact. But you cannot worry about that. You do what you can, what you believe in, and shifts happen. Things start changing, and you get more people. And then through conversation, not being afraid to have difficult conversations with others, you know, to the sharing, the being involved. Because obviously, if I have a conversation with you, but then I don't give a damn about you, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're gonna know it ultimately, you know. So
definitely.
I think, yes, by being authentic, by being aware also, you know, and by starting with yourself.
Wonderful.
And
so
after you start with yourself, you'll notice that, and we're all support systems for each other.
True.
Somebody, while you're doing it yourself, somebody would be guiding you, supporting you. Then at one time you'll realize that, oh, you have to support another person or guide that person or be that, you know, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. True. Just rounding everything up, I would ask, because you've really touched on a lot of things, and I just want to say, as a people who have existing trauma, right? There are just different traumas that you can reference. Now, this is going to be one big trauma as a society that we are adding. You know, why haven't even we as a society haven't even faced previous traumas? How do you think? Because now we can say, oh, this is what government can do, this is what this can do, but how do we as individuals begin to open up our traumatic doors and facing these traumas and healing, like you said?
I mean, it's different when we're speaking on an individual level than talking about, you know, a government level. I think if we're saying, you know, I'm not, you know, in the government, I can't speak for the government, but to me, the first thing that comes to mind is the educational system, which has needed to be, you know, reformed for a long time, because mainly it relies on rote learning. And rote learning does not inspire leadership. It inspires codependency. It doesn't inspire empowerment, you know. So the techniques are so outdated. The teachers are so badly paid. The systems, and still, like, even with that, schools are not affordable to everybody, you know, even with that level. So to me, like, tackling the educational system and also creating awareness, like, these are the first two things that would come to my mind. And then the role of art, because in so many societies in history, you know, art, the role of art as a catalyst for change has been very important. You know, in terms of creating awareness, in terms of questioning, in terms of creating new insights, and you know. So I think on a personal level, which trauma to pick to work on first, I would say, you know, based on your instinct and your need. I think life is trauma, honestly. You know, when a baby is first born, what do? The first thing they're doing is screaming and crying.
Yes, they cry.
And yes, you know, when you die, you don't scream, or unless you're being assassinated or something. You know what I mean? Like, but when you're born, and you know, I think I've never met a person, starting from my, you know, seen a life free from pain. So trauma is there. Yes, we have in Ghana a very big share of it. But when you're starting to do something, looking at the top or looking at, you know, everything you have to do can be very discouraging, and it can be so overwhelming that you decide to stay where you are.
Yeah.
Don't look at the mountain. Focus on your process, just with the breath. When you're breathing, when you lie down, you surrender your body, your muscles, you're not in tension, and you breathe. You are in that moment where you're blessed with that breath and with that life, and with that potential. You know, take things one step at a time. And this is very subjective from person to person. Even if, let's say, we were to share, you and I, some of the same trauma, we wouldn't react necessarily to them in the same way at the same time or at the same moment. So it makes sense that we might not decide to tackle, but once you start tackling one, if you're taking responsibility for it, once you start tackling it, everything will start falling in and following through, you know. Then you would, and it's a lifelong process, you know. It's not like, okay, target, I've done this, yes. No. True. It's like peeling the layers of an onion. You know, you peel one layer and then you really, oh my God, you know what? Peeling a layer, you peel that layer and it feels so great to peel that layer. But then something happens and you go back into a way, or into insecurity, or into being scared, or into looking at the other person, and then you get angry with yourself. Why am I doing this? And then you realize you only peeled one layer. You're reacting to triggers that you still haven't addressed. And so let it, you know, the forest doesn't grow in a day. Every day, every hour in a day, even less than every hour in a day, things are growing, things are dying. And allow yourself, you're doing it for yourself. There is no time limit. There, if you can stop yourself from judging yourself on what you start with, what your process is. Oh, is my process taking longer than Omon's? That means there's something wrong with me. No. All of these self-defeating negative thoughts, you know, they're not your friend.
Wow. What a great way to actually just crystallize this conversation. I want to really say thank you. Thank you for even just opening up and saying, yes, I'll do this call. I'll take this call with you. I'm hoping that this all ends and we see ourselves physically, hug again, laugh again. But until then, thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you too, Oman. And bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.